content, right? So cool. So cool. So Vipul, why don't we begin with your introduction? Everyone knows your brand, but of course,
sure, definitely. So 5 minutes.
All yours.
No, so thank you so much. Thank you, Paritosh. Thank you, Alok. Thank you, Ravi. It's always such a pleasure to actually hear from you. So my name is Miftaur Rahman. I'm one of the co-founders for Momo. So should I come here? Fine, right?
I think a little to the back. Perfect. Yeah. Go ahead.
So Momo was started by two of my friends in college, Sagar and Vinod. This was back in 2008. So we were all from the same batch, St. Xavier's 2008. Morning 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then we would go on to do dailies. So they started it off just after college with a small shop and shop format. So why shop and shop is because A, they did not have a lot of money to make a store. B, shop and shop was easier to sell in. So immediately having just absolutely fresh out of college, doing nothing, no CAT, no CA, no MBA, immediately with the first store, Sagar was up with his yellow fancy looking t-shirt and serving momos to the customers. Vinod was at the back. He's actually the chef guy. The innovations are all driven by him. So he was making the product and Sagar was selling it. So that duo started off in 2008. In 2 to 3 years time, we led to 2 stores, led to 4 led to 8 led to 10. Gradually we bootstrapped profits. We opened about 39 locations, 39 stores, 39 restaurants without any equity funding. So if I have to just add some numbers, is we reached a turnover of 20 crores, a top line of 20 crores without taking any money from anyone by way of equity fundraise. So normally, and that 20 crores, that team of 200 people, out of that 200, that is the reason why Momo is Momo as we are right now. The cost controls, the hardships, the stringent long hours that we put in those initial years, that actually we actually gave in our blood and soul, and that actually made us a brand. So now post 2014, 14-15 is where we went for our first round of fundraise. It was Indian Angel Network. So Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani, he is the founder of Naukri.com. He saw us at an event in Thai here in Calcutta. We had a fancy looking store. He liked the food. He tasted the product. Term sheet was signed in 2 days time. No legal opinion.
Wow.
And once we came in, once that fundraise happened back in 2015, we started investing in the back end, the base kitchens. Because all this while we were only opening more and more stores. We were not utilizing any money for back end infra. So that is when we realized that we now have to get the basics right from a back end perspective and back end base kitchens. This thing. Post that we went to Delhi. We launched in something around June 2015, and since then the growth has been phenomenal. As we talk right now, we are at 194 restaurants pan-India, 11 cities. We are talking about 90 crore of top line, and a couple of years down the line, we are looking at adding another 150 to 200 stores year on year, and someday, touch wood, we will go abroad, and we would want to ideally be an Indian version of McDonald's going abroad and creating value throughout.
Awesome.
So having said that, right now we have about 1,800 people employed with us. So they are all our partners, they are all our colleagues, they are all a team. So we have a bunch of 1,800 very young guys who work for each other, who work with each other, and who work with each other's families. So spread across 11 cities. So last year we launched Mumbai, last year we launched Bhubaneswar, and this financial year we've launched Lucknow. So 3 new cities got added. We'll be adding about 2 new cities every year on year from now. And funding aspects, of course, we'll discuss it later when we have those relevant questions in. But the moot point was that the cost controls which you see when you use your own money, and that is where businesses are built. It is not by setting up a business, taking external funding is real businesses are built. So ultimately, what you have made by your own self is what actually matters in the long run. Thank you.
Phenomenal. Alok, we start with you now.
Yeah. So about myself, it will take 2-3 minutes. So I was working in Big Four initially with EY and then KPMG in 2010. Something something happened and I came back and started Taxmantra. The idea was that can you actually use technology? Can you actually use technology and help SMEs and MSMEs to get the quality services which Big Four can offer to you, which many of the SMEs and MSMEs will not be able to render from Big Four. So I think with that idea we started. In 2010 we were probably first or second website to launch tax filing software, tax filing services in India. And initially we did with only B2C, wherein we help individuals to file taxes because businesses were not ready from the mindset perspective, and also people would laugh at us when we say that big companies can actually give their financial data and information online during those days. And I think we stuck to what we wanted to do, and we continue to do that, and we started adding more services, and in 2016 we went global in the sense that we acquired a firm in Singapore and scaled there. So I think the idea is that the one reason why we continue to grow is perseverance. We knew that we have to continue to work. As he said, that we are still bootstrapped, and I don't see a reason why we should raise funds from VCs at this point of time. It's your money, and how do you use that money? How do you build your team initially? How do you be still profitable at unit economics? And that is very, very critical, I think. So with that, I think to continue to grow, you need to spend a lot of time in terms of how are you evolving with your customer, and those things are very, very important. And now the idea is that can we actually be the next Big Four in the sense for SMEs and MSMEs, and take them to new countries and help them to raise funds and help them to comply better. I think that's the idea. And with that, TAD is also one of the main objective behind that, because we wanted to create a community wherein it's more than the monologue which you talked about. It should be a dialogue wherein we should be able to ask the right questions, and when we go back, we take something from this room and implement that in the business. And we are very thankful to our clients and our team members. If you see, the testimony to our success is that we have got clients who have stuck with us for the last 5 years, 6 years. Sarabjit is just one of the big example for that. Whenever I see him, I feel that we are doing something right, and I think we will continue to do that.
Awesome, great, thank you. Fantastic, and I have already introduced myself, but quick one for everyone who just joined in. My name is Paritosh Sharma. I am from Delhi. I run a network called Sawa Crore. It's a business network for individuals, entrepreneurs, large entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs. So, as an example, the largest SME that we have in our network has a top line of 900 crores. I know it's not supposedly an SME anymore, but and the smallest one that we have is a 6-member team from Hyderabad. So, and what we do is simple. We create videos. We launch them on our platform, which is called Sawa Crore. It's a YouTube channel. Please go ahead and subscribe it. And using those videos, we create quick introductions between people. These introductions work simply because of the fact that these videos are done by me in Hindi language. And when I say Hindi, I very strongly feel that, of course, English is a common language of communication that we use generally. But जब आप अपनी भाषा में बात करते हो भारत में, और भारत एक भारत नहीं है, 29 different भारत हैं, it goes straight to the heart. दिल तक पहुंचती है, और जब दिल तक पहुंचती है SME और MSME में business तुरंत create होता है. That's what we do. Okay, cool. So with that introduction, Miftaur, I'm going to start with you, right? And please feel free to not answer questions if you don't want to. I think that's totally fine. The first question that I have for you is I think will be important for everyone here in this room, which is you bootstrapped, if I'm not wrong, for almost about 7 years.
Yeah, 6.5.
6.5 years, right? Wouldn't have been easy, of course.
Yeah.
Of course not, right? It's a food brand. You don't have a centralized kitchen back then. You don't have standard procedures and all of this. But you still chose to bootstrap till about 39 stores, as you said. Just take us through 2 decision-making factors. One, why? Why did you just bootstrap? And second, after you reach that stage of saying that, okay, today I have 39 stores with me, I bootstrapped to a certain extent, I do have some revenues with me on board, what were those metrics that, let's say, you went ahead and shared with Sanjeev to say, Sanjeev, यार मुझे अब इस valuation पे इतने का check चाहिए, or let's say Sanjeev would have told you कि यार इस valuation पे तुम्हें इतने का check दूंगा, right?
Okay, so we'll break it in two parts.
Sure.
So the question that we normally, lot of colleagues, lot of startup entrepreneurs have asked me is, what is the right time to raise funds?
Mm-hmm.
And that mental thing is always there. Okay, should I raise? Should I not raise? Should I wait for some more time?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you our example first, and then we'll come to this question. So it's very important to understand that funding has to be used as an ammunition. So it should not be taken when you're not ready for it. So so if I'm sharing details, I can share that we got a term sheet from IAN.
Sure.
In 2011. So that was when we were roughly about 12 stores.
Okay.
10 or 12 odd stores. And we also got a term sheet from another VC fund. But that point in time, we chose not to take that fund. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because A, we did not have that basic processes in place. B, we did not have a team in place. C, we were not sure what are we going to do with that fund if that fund is taken. And D, we always had a long-term vision that we would need funds. We have to be fund ready. You have to make your company be fund ready, reach a level, and then raise that fund. Because the minute it is very easily said that funding is a good asset, trust me, it is not. Because the minute you have that money in your bank account, your meter starts. And depending upon your SHA, you will have to give exits, you have to increase valuation, etc., etc. So once you have taken the money, it is not your business anymore. You have to be answerable to somebody else. So that is a liability that you take on your head. You have to be very sure that you should be ready for it. So when we took a company to over 39 or 40 stores, we were already there in 4 cities. We had opened Bangalore. We had opened Bangalore in 2011 in Phoenix Mall. So that was the best mall at that point in time. We opened Chennai. We opened Pune. We were expanding in Calcutta. So we by then had a good team in place. And we discussed amongst ourselves that if we take this fund and we knew the multiples that we had to jump. So if I am taking the fund at 40 stores in a year's time, will I be able to take it to 70? Answer we got from the team was yes. We opened 73. Post that is when we had to actually focus. When you are 30 stores and when you're 70 stores, the set of problems that you face when you're 30 stores is absolutely different from what you face at 70. So in the last 3 years, the set of problems that we face in every 6 months is absolutely changing.
Wow.
So if you are a 20 crore top line company, the problems that you are facing is more on a macro level.
Okay.
It's more on a micro level, and you are engaged in possibly hustling between supplier payments to credit management, etc. When you raise your bars higher, then you are already taken as a brand. Now you have to ensure that you cannot goof up with anything because you are already perceived at a significant range.
Correct.
So tomorrow if you go to a roll shop and they find hair in that roll, you would possibly pick it out and throw it away. But if you have a hair in a Domino's or a Momo, you're going to take a picture and post it on social media. So your sense of responsibility increases. Spider-Man said, with great powers come great responsibilities. So that's exactly true. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. And on the second part, by the way, this is important for everyone to understand, even for me, by the way, personally, which is, so 2 things that he said that I'm going to take away, and if you guys would want to as well. One is the right decision making factor to either raise money or not. That's one. Number 2 is the set of problems. While it's the same business, by the way, ultimately it's selling of momos. I mean, at a very, 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 very macro level. But the set of problems changes, and how does a brand ultimately could get affected by just a hair in your food? Big example. Now, second most important thing, of course, is when you chose to raise the first money. Right? I mean, you would have had certain conversations maybe with Sanjeev or his team of corporate affairs there. was that driven by the fact that you have 39 stores, you have some revenue on board and some decent sized revenue on board, a team working, or was that the fact that there is Sanjeev, he says you guys are great and he wrote you a check? I mean, were there conversations of real metrics and logic, or was that, hey Sanjeev, you look good, hey guys, you look good, and we raise money?
No, so post we were 35 plus stores.
Okay.
We had started shopping. So we had that benchmark that we reach for 20 crores of top line, we reach about 30-40 stores, and that's the point when we will actually require more money to build base kitchens. So with that perspective, we had already, so in fact when we spoke to Sanjeev, we had already spoken to a couple of more funds which I can't name before, and got term sheets. But with Sanjeev it just struck. I mean, he's been a great guy, and he just said one thing, that I'm gonna back you if you fire or misfire.
Wow.
So that's something that really took us on board. And in fact, we saw the term sheet. The term sheet actually got closed in less than 7 days. And we went down to Delhi, we spoke, etc. So it was actually raised not by Sanjeev in personal capacity.
Sure.
It was through Indian Angel Network.
Okay.
So there was a whole lot of investors who came in. So we were initially thinking of raising 7 to 8 crores. We were oversubscribed, and the investment which was supposed to come in was to the tune of 12-13 crores. But then that got prorated, and we narrowed it down to 10 crores round figure. We were valued at 100 crore, so we diluted 10% equity.
Phenomenal,
Yeah.
phenomenal. So this is interesting, and this is precisely where I sort of take the bar up a little in terms of our dialogue. After you've raised money now, and whatever that I've read in the newspapers, in the public domain, I think the company today is valued at about 300 crores.
500.
We did it wrong. So I'll
tell you how it happened. So October 2015, we raised the round from IN.
Correct.
So IN came in at a 10 crore, gave it 10 crore and 100 crore valuation. Then the next round happened in May 2017.
Okay.
That was with Lighthouse Ventures.
Correct.
So Lighthouse put in 40 crores, and IN had a preemptive. So what does preemptive mean? Is your existing investor has the right to put in further money in the next round, to put in further money in the next round, and basis of his shareholding. So say for example, IN had 10% stake in the company. Next round we were doing for 40 crores from Lighthouse. So IN had the right to put in 4 additional crores along with this in this round. They fully subscribed it. And we raised 44 CR. This was May last year. 4 months back, Mr. William Brissell, who's the owner of Fab India. So we met him a couple of times, and we were absolutely wowed by his persona, his experience. Absolutely superb guy. So we asked him to join us as an advisor in the company, to join the advisory board along with Sanjeev and Saurabh sir. So he said, I can, but I would want to put in some equity as well. So he came in at a 300 crore valuation for a 1% stake. And as we talk, we are doing a deal. We are providing an exit to some of the IN investors. It's a secondary, no primary infusion is coming in. That's happening at between a 450 to 500 crore valuation.
Phenomenal, man. Amazing stuff. Nice. So in all of this experience now, while you were bootstrapped to where you're now, and of course you are a fairly well-known brand today across the country. In fact, that is precisely what we're actually discussing, that how did you really become this national rage which you are today? In terms of you as a team, what has changed? Right, because most of us here in this room, including me, myself, right, we are in those phases of building our teams, right? And of course, I'm asking both from the perspective of the founding team. So of course, there would be a founder level thought process, and then there would be your secondary team and the teams down below. So what has changed in your company such that you guys are still thriving and nothing fundamentally has broken in the system?
So when we were starting off, when we were around 20-30 stores pre-money, we always ensured that the store level team was absolutely good. So the store manager was good, well trained, the team members were good, they were good to look at, they were courteous to talk to, the smile was always there. So that end customers, if you go to eat a Momo, you will not meet me or you will not meet Sagar. 90% of the people would not even know us personally. They would go and meet the product, and the person standing on the counter will be the face of the brand. So our first forte was to actually get this particular line strengthened. Second is the central base kitchens which we had to ensure the product is consistent. Today Domino's does not sell you the best pizzas in the world. It sells you the most consistent pizzas. Because you might have 10 pizza joints which have more tastier pizzas than Domino's, but Domino's is Domino's because it sells you the most consistent pizza. Today the Choco Lava Cake that you have here or in Delhi or in Bangalore will be exactly the same. The thin crust chicken will absolutely taste the same. So that was our biggest challenge, to ensure if you have a chicken momo in a flight from Calcutta, or if you land in Delhi you have it from a T3 airport, or if you are in Bangalore you're having it in Phoenix Mall, it has to taste exactly the same. So strengthening of the backend team was also important. Now coming back to your question is how we are doing it now. So more than 70% of our time currently is training the new team. So that's what we spend most of our time in, is we are creating replicas of ourselves, so that today what I am doing, 6 months down the line, I will not be doing that, so that my bandwidth is generated, is liberated, and I can possibly do more things and few things others which possibly are not required to do right now. So at the founder level, both Sagar, Vinod, myself, all of us are pretty serious about making our own departments, making our own departmental heads and training them so that they can imbibe the pulse of the brand. Second is, now we've started investing, so the last, with funding coming in, we've started investing more in people. So you have to have, because I am only as strong as my managers.
Of course.
Nothing more. My managers are only as strong as their store guys. So we jointly are only as strong as our team. Nothing less, nothing more. So as and when we grow, as and when we scale up, every time we double, we have to ensure that the guys who are handling the things are, so A, what we do is we promote them. So today, I'm happy to share that Niloy, who is a national business manager, he takes almost 4 flights a week. He joined us back in 2010. He was an absolutely basic guy, but now the way he's grown, he sits with the CEOs of the world, trying to crack a deal with them. So the chef, the back-end chef, so he was a part-time chef back in 2008. Now he has a car. His son goes to an English medium school. He's taken a bank loan, bought a house for himself. So these are the guys who actually grown up the ladder. Simultaneously, it has to be a potent mix. There will be guys who will grow up along with you, and you have to have lateral hires who have, so for example, we've created a few departments in the last 2 years, which we wouldn't have previously. So we've created a F&B controls department. So a particular HOD is only looking at product food cost, which I used to do 1 year down the line.
Interesting.
Right? So there is a head trainer who we've taken from Dunkin's and Domino's. So that training was to be done, Sagar was only responsible for training of that staff personally. Now we have had trainers, head trainers, set of trainers under him. So all these departments we now have to create by laterally taking in people who've been there and done that, taking chains from 100 to 500 to ensure it's a potent mix of in-house grown people as well as lateral hires, so the talent is mixed and overall the ship keeps growing.
Phenomenal, man. Okay, so I had no ideas. This is how you are actually scaling up with people. My next question is now going to be to the both of you, but of course, first to you, Miftaur. Now, I don't know how and what your experience has been, but I'm from Delhi. Of course, I've seen enough of Momo stores there across several markets, several large malls, small malls, even in Nehru City in Delhi. You've got a store there in the food court. I've never seen you guys market. So when I say market, big marketing, right? I've never seen you big budget ads or radio or anything like that. For all of us here, and you have the money. It's not that you don't have the money, right? You have the money. You have the right set of people who can help you, get into other people. number one, if you're not marketing, what is it that you're doing that your brand is still growing? That's one. Number two, if you are not doing the large scale marketing, what is it that you're doing that we can take away with?
Okay, so this is a very conscious decision that we all took, that we will not spend on marketing. We will not go the normal way and pump in lakhs and lakhs in print media and hoardings, etc., etc. So not just in Delhi, anyone pan-India has never seen a Momo banner across anywhere. The only thing that you guys will see is more and more Momo stores coming up. So what we thought was, we are a food brand. The best way to market food is by word of mouth. Now, how will that word of mouth spread? Is by opening more and more stores, by making more and more people taste a product. So when we went into Delhi, so Momo was known to everyone in Delhi. But there was a misconception about momos, because momos were perceived as a typical roadside food, unhygienic. So when we opened a big store in Mall of India, when we opened a big store in Horse Khas Village, people never realized that momos could be hygienically made and with real good stuffing of chicken or your cheese in it, instead of just typical onion stuffing which is there in the roadside. So what we normally did was, we sampled the momos. So sampling was the biggest marketing for us. So in a Mall of India food court, our guys would walk up with the trays, and this is imbibed from day one. Remember, I told you guys that Sagar used to sample on his first day of launching of our momos. We still do that. What we do is, wherever we open a store, we take momos on a plate, we serve it to the customers, we ask them to take a piece. Now there is a logic behind that, because we believe, and we have been proved right, that if you taste us once, you will be ours forever. So with that, we kind of grew, we kind of opened more and more stores. We ensured that marketing and branding and communication, all that is done, but in a limited way. No print, so we don't do a lot of radio jingles, we don't do a lot of press ads. What we do is, we open more and more stores, we sample more products. At times we celebrate with our customers. So we sometimes we do a flat 50% off, we do a buy one get one. That's a conscious effort that the brand takes to actually ensure that more and more people try our food. Because the larger number of people who will try the food, they will like it, and they gonna go tell 5 of their friends, and that's how it's gonna grow. Wow. So food sampling is one that we immensely do. We do product trials. So before we have to launch a product, the decision whether to launch or not is not ours, it's the customers. So we are coming up with a veg exotica and a chicken exotica. So we've already made that product, but we are sampling in the stores and taking feedback from the customers. And that customer the respective customer who gives a good feedback, we acknowledge him and we give him a voucher for the new stores to come in, because he's been the chef in this case, correct, who's actually helped us to make this product wow product. So that's how we've been doing it.
So just one thing. So this is basically decision making which the founders of the Momo are able to do. Is this because you have raised at a point wherein you are already successful, and because of that reason you are able to take more independent decisions? Because I tell you, with the VC mindset, VCs would always want you to go to the market, be big, be everywhere, be on social media, be on print. But this is a takeaway wherein if you raise after a point wherein you're already established and you have a right unit economics, and does that help to take decision independently? Because investors will not be able to push you to the corner, because they know that this company was already doing well when we went in to invest.
So it's actually a double-edged sword. Ultimately, why would a VC ask you to do something? Is because the VC wants you to grow. Sure. Right? Sure. So it is up to the entrepreneur to first convince the VC as to what is right and what is not right for the business. I agree, some VCs would push you guys to do a few things which will ensure a better exit for them and a faster market penetration and possibly a bigger burn. But ultimately the decision, the ownership of the company lies with the entrepreneur.
And that is because you were already doing well and you didn't dilute it too early too much. Is this one of the reason? I'm raising this
Right.
because many startups, they end up raising too much at a very early stage, and then they were forced to do many things which the investors would tell them. So it's because you didn't raise, so you said that you rounded off to 10 CR wherein you could have raised 14, 15 CR. So is this because you raised little bit only to